What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here with a slightly different kind of video. Today I'm doing a review of the album This Is Crime Wave by the band Codefendants. Codefendants is a band made up of Ceschi, Sam from the band Get Dead, and Fat Myke from NOFX and Fat Records. And as many who have watched my channel already know, I've been following Ceschi very closely since the one-man band broke up, and he's since become one of my favorite current songwriters. Get Dead is a band I wasn't really familiar with until Ceschi started working with him, but I've become a very fast fan, and Fat Myke is pretty much responsible for me getting into punk rock, as Ribbed was one of the first 3 punk albums that I ever heard. So this was exciting for me to hear was happening, and even more exciting for me to dig into. So the first song, Defcons, opens up with some subtle guitar strumming, a little bit of ska flavor here, and Sam kicks it off with this great gruff voice that reminds me a little bit of Jesse from Op Ivy, but he has a voice that sounds old and weathered, you know, one of those voices that commands you to listen because you can tell that he's about to say something important because he's been through some shit. And yeah, he's talking about biting the hand when there's nothing left to eat, and he's talking about how he stripped off the meat of every finger that's ever gotten close to him. Great lyrics. And I love how the song progresses with the guitar work and the light percussion, and then Ceschi comes in and his voice is a perfect complement to Sam's, and it's so interesting to see how his double time works so well over this type of backdrop. And when their voices come together on that hook, it's just perfect. The next song, Abscessed, is a bit more upbeat and slightly harder. It's got more of a driving punk sound to it, and I love what everyone's doing here, especially on the hook. You saved yourself, but don't self-destruct. Don't play with knives if you can't take the blood. Sometimes life doesn't add up. The really interesting thing is, in addition to the rest of Get Dead, this song features Henry Osborne of Grey Skull and Dark Time Sunshine. And the thing is, I knew he was on the album, but I sort of forgot by the time I listened to it. So I listened to this the first times through and didn't even realize that was Henry on this song. You know, I've said a lot of times that Henry Osborne is one of the most underrated MCs around, and his flow is immaculate. But I love how he changed a little bit to fit the song here. And of course, once I knew it was him, it definitely sounds like him. But it's just dope that he can make his flow fit just about anything. Not trying to go in order intentionally, but we gotta talk about fast ones. I feel like this is a great song, but it's also a true moment for rap fans, as it features the D.O.C. dropping his first verse in like 20 years. So who would have thought that one of the most legendary MCs in hip hop would step back into the game on a punk album? You know, it's wild, but if you want to know details on that, be sure to keep an eye on Dead End Hip Hop, because there just might be an interview with the Codefendants and D.O.C. dropping soon where D.O.C. talks about this. But once again, I love how Sam kicks it off. I like how he has his more standard approach, but there's even more of a hip-hop tinge to it, and the lyrics are great. When the boat gets to sinking and the water starts rising, don't be surprised when them rats start cannibalizing. Sharks swam with a mouthful of chipped teeth, from mistaking the reef from being shallow, hollow, and weak. And I really love what Ceschi does here, man. His signature flow that alternates between standard and double time, it works really well here, and I love what he's saying. Bitch boys like to act tough till the moment erupts. You can punch drunkenly at me, but I'll probably be dropping a Nazi. Literally had this conversation the other day with a couple of friends about this very subject. You know, people fighting amongst their peer groups when we should really be identifying and attacking the real enemy. But that's another video. But back to this, I also like these lines. Yes, I've kissed the floor before. Linoleum. Girls have called me Fat Wreck, but now I win. Obviously, Linoleum is a reference to one of the best songs in punk history, NOFX's Linoleum, and his reference to Fat Wreck, Fat Records. That should make it pretty obvious. And D.O.C. really brings exactly what you'd want him to bring. Like, I genuinely feel like it gives you goosebumps. You know what I'm saying? No bullshit. Like, he sounds amazing. Most of the verse is him kind of breaking down how he sees the rap game right now. And of course, it comes off a bit like intelligent curmudgeon. And this angle makes sense given that Sam and Ceschi give their takes on the same thing in relation to the punk scene. But I absolutely loved this line from D.O.C. I've been living so off balance that even drowning's a fucking challenge. That's one of those lines that's so good I wish I wrote it. Again, not really trying to go in order, but I gotta talk about Suicide by Pigs because it's one of my favorite songs on here, and once again, I love how Sam kicks it off. I've considered Suicide by Police, I do it myself, but I'm far too angry. But hold up, this hook is just perfect to me. How much of this time's been wasted singing these rhymes you hated? Nothing sucks out the joy in life quite like truth, so we spend our nights getting wasted, line after line with numb faces, turning pipe dreams into pipe bombs with you. It's like a beautiful anarchist love song. It's so good. And the progression of this song is fantastic to me, from the strummed guitar to the beautifully orchestrated strings. It's just so well done. Brutiful is another one of my favorites on this album. It has a great folk punk backdrop at the beginning that morphs seamlessly into a more driving punk rock part. And once again, Sam kicks it off right. Like, what the fuck is up with this guy always starting the songs off so goddamn well? You know, but I love his great take on idol worship in relation to musicians and fans and the relationship between the two. What is it they want after years of worshiping flaws? Romanticized scumbags, now they expect them to be demigods. And Ceschi's lines here are insanely beautiful. Our hearts are such dicks that have fucked so much in their path, there's no way to erase it, we can't expect people to forgive our past. It's brutal and beautiful, to some it's art, to some it's shit. It's brutal and beautiful. Sell Me Youth hits you in the face out of nowhere. It sounds like a perfect homage to 80s kind of aggressive synth pop and new wave. I love the chords that they're playing here and how well it goes with the synths. And I especially love how they can throw this song on this album and have it sound like nothing else here, but simultaneously have it fit so well. The album closer, Codefendants, it's an awesome closer. I love the stripped back backdrop that pushes you to focus on the vocal performances here, because they're so powerful that they deserve a lot of attention. I hope I'm not mishearing this part, but it sounds like they're saying, we are all we have till it's all we had, goodbye. Which sounds like this beautiful statement on us being there for each other and how we should really accept and revel in the fact that we as a community are all we have. You know, no one else is gonna fight for us harder. You know, no one else is gonna put their lives on the line for us. We, the people, are all that we have all the way until death, at which time we can look back and say, we were all we had. God, it's so good, you know? And I love the whole idea of all of us being co-defendants, the state being against all of us in some way, shape, or form, and all we have in this fight is each other. And that's something that makes this album feel so genuine. You know, Sam and Ceschi seem to share a similar story in terms of life's bad hands being dealt, as well as the imbalance of justice, and you can feel that in the music. None of this feels like posturing for scene points. You get the firm feeling that these two are speaking from direct life experience throughout the album, which adds a layer of authenticity, which in turn makes the album that much more enjoyable. And I think this level of authenticity flows through someone like Fat Myke as well, who we all know has been through a lot over his years, and that comes through in the riffs. But I like that these life experiences don't seem to make them toxically or annoyingly positive on some like, you'll make it through kid type shit, nor does it make them overly or boringly pessimistic. Instead, I feel like you get a very real representation of people here. You know, their lives, their struggles, their accomplishments, their failures. It all comes together beautifully here. Musically, I found it amazing that someone could take elements of folk, ska, punk, and hip hop and combine them without making the final product sound lame as fuck. Prior to hearing this album, the idea of this being even remotely listenable on paper would have seemed impossible to me. But this isn't just listenable, it's seriously incredible. It's a fun listen while also being a touching listen. It's softer at times, it's aggressive at times, but at all times it feels very real. So yes, this is one of my favorite projects that I've heard so far. I know we're only in April, but you know how it goes. So yeah, if you have not listened to it, go down there in the description section, I have a link to the Bandcamp. You can check it out there. If you have listened to it, make sure you drop some comments down there in the comment section and let me know what you thought of this album. But yeah, that's it. As usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you, and I'll see you guys next time. All right? Peace out, boy.